All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Special Education Virtual Information Session. And please note that we'll be focusing on the Master of Science in Special Education, Mild to Moderate Disabilities, the SET-IT program today. My name is Sion John. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We also have a faculty member of the Special Education Department, Dr. Alexandra Shelton, joining us today. And before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We'll be able to share a link to the recorded video within 10 business days. And there will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please type your question in the Q&A box and we will read and answer your questions. Next, I would like to share the agenda for today's virtual information session. We'll start the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. I'll introduce Dr. Alexandra Shelton, and then Dr. Shelton will go over the details of the program. Then we'll cover admissions requirements, financial aid, and scholarship, and Dr. Shelton will also cover the Montgomery County tuition reimbursement. And finally, we'll leave the floor open for questions at the end. Here on the slide, we have some fast facts about Johns Hopkins School of Education. We are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909, and then we became our own school in 2007. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. For school enrollment, we have 1,741 students. We offer 19 graduate programs. That includes our doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate programs. And we have a strong network of over 24,000 SOE alums. And for faculty introduction, so here on the slide, you'll see that we have 3 faculty members for the Special Education Department. We have Dr. Rebecca Cruz, Dr. Tamara Martyr, and Dr. Alexandra Shelton. And presenting today, we have Dr. Alexandra Shelton, and she joined JHU faculty in 2021. Her research focuses on improving literacy outcomes for secondary students with mild disabilities, including mild intellectual disability and learning disabilities via intensive intervention and teacher professional development and coaching. Dr. Shelton was a high school special education teacher in Baltimore City Public Schools, where she served students with and without disabilities in English language arts, reading, math, and science. So at this time, I will hand the floor over to Dr. Shelton. Welcome, Dr. Shelton.
Hi, thank you. And thank you all for joining us. So what we'll see on the next slide is that there is a critical shortage of special education teachers in the United States. Almost all states have a teacher shortage in special education, and Maryland is no exception. And the pandemic really made things worse. It made things more difficult. And that means that we have an even greater need to have well-trained special educators. And so it's important that we have these pipelines of people who are entering the teaching profession so that they can address this teacher shortage and increase the diversity of the teacher workforce. So with that said, we have here in the Johns Hopkins School of Education, we have 3 pathways in the field of special education. So this way you can customize your master's degree to meet your professional goals. And today we're really focusing on the mild to moderate disabilities pathway. And this is the pathway to earning certification for or to become a special education teacher. So the mild to moderate disabilities pathway, or the MMD pathway, is designed for candidates who plan to serve students with disabilities. The focus of this pathway is on gaining expertise and applying specialized techniques within a wide range of educational settings. And that said, even though it's called mild to moderate disabilities, our students really support or learn to teach students with disabilities who have a wide range of support needs. but this is the pathway for earning certification. And so certification has two tracks. We have either elementary middle, which is grades 1 through 8, or secondary adult, which is grades 6 through 12. So if you're interested in working with middle school students in particular, you would need to choose either elementary middle or secondary adult because there's overlap for the middle grades. And so that being said, there is an opportunity to earn this degree in special education with us. Most of our candidates do seek certification, but that is not the only option. So there are folks in our program on the MMD pathway who are not seeking certification. So I did just want to share that. So our program consists of 13 courses. Most of our classes are taken by all candidates. However, there are some classes that are track specific. For example, on this slide, you see that spoken and written language is in bold, and this is a course that is specifically for elementary middle track candidates. But I think on the next slide, you'll see career assessment and programming, and this is a course specifically for students on the secondary adult track. Additionally, our program plan includes 2 classroom or behavior management courses, and there are 2 internships that students complete during their second year in the program. So we offer classes in the summer, fall, and spring, and most of our in-person classes occur in the evening. They either start around 4:30 or they start around 7 p.m. And our courses are at a centrally located campus. So they're in Laurel, Maryland at the Applied Physics Lab. And so the benefit of that is that a lot of our students are MCPS or Montgomery County Public Schools employees. And so they're able to travel to Laurel instead of having to travel to Baltimore for these courses. And we also have some classes that are offered online. And most candidates take 2 to 3 years to complete the program. But we really emphasize taking the 2-year route to completion. It's completely doable by taking 2 to 3 courses a semester, and that does include 1 semester or 1 summer session. So along with completing coursework, we have some other specific program requirements, and these are requirements that students will complete as they move through the program. So we see the praxis assessment in special education, the praxis assessment in reading. Those are two requirements for candidates who are seeking state certification. We also have the comprehensive exam that students complete at the midpoint of their program. And then we have the EdCPA portfolio, which is required for certification. And then finally, we have the grad project and presentation. This is required for students who are not seeking certification, and it is optional for candidates who are seeking certification. So if you're on this call and you are interested in seeking certification, then you would need to meet requirements 1 through 4, and requirement number 5 is optional. So now I wanted to share a bit about the Special Education Teacher Immersion Training, or the SET-IT program. This program is a partnership with Montgomery County Public Schools that's open to permanent MCPS school-based employees. So folks who are a part of the SET-IT program, they complete their program in 2 years to earn their master's in special education. The course of study is delivered in a prescribed sequence or prescribed series of courses that students take with the rest of their MCPS cohort. So if you join the SET-IT program and you are a part of the secondary adult track, you are taking the same courses with other folks on that track within the SET-IT program. And again, completion of the program allows for certification in special education for either elementary middle, which is grades 1 through 8, or secondary adult, which is grades 6 through 12. And so a part of the program, we have students complete these internships, 2 internships in their second year. And the benefit of joining SET-IT is that students or candidates complete their internship in their school, so in an MCPS classroom. And so the only thing to keep in mind about that is that if you are on the secondary adult track, your internship will need to be with students in grades 6 through 12. So you would want to make sure that your job placement, your school of employment, is a middle school or a high school. And then the same or the equivalent for folks on the elementary middle track. You would need to make sure that you are working in a school with students in grades 1 through 8 to be able to complete the internship in your school setting. And then as part of SET-IT and really as an employee of MCPS, you would also have access to your salary and benefits, as well as partial tuition support, which we'll talk about in a bit. And so one thing to keep in mind is that SET-IT and really tuition reimbursement is for permanent employees of MCPS who are working at least 20 hours or more each week. And so this means that SET-IT is not open to substitute teachers, for example. And I will definitely answer questions at the end of this, but on this slide, you see my name and my email address. So if you have any questions that are specific to your situation, please send me an email. So the ideal candidate for SET-IT has a bachelor's degree and is seeking initial certification in special education through a state-approved program, which ours is. So the special education program at Johns Hopkins is a master's level program for folks who are interested in getting degrees in special education and likely interested in their initial certification in special education. Additionally, the ideal SET-IT candidate is planning to serve students with disabilities and is willing to commit to 2 years of intensive graduate coursework. And also they're willing to, or they're able to demonstrate all admissions requirements, which we'll discuss. And of course, they're willing to work and study hard.
All right, so thank you, Dr. Shelton. So now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. First, a 3.0 or better cumulative undergraduate GPA. An applicant must submit a completed application, which can be found on the school's website. Keep in mind the application fee is $80. We'll need official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions that you have attended. Again, we'll need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. We'll need an essay, a current resume, 2 letters of recommendation from individuals who can speak to your work in the field of special education. And keep in mind for the mild to moderate program, testing scores are required if your GPA is less than a 3.0. Please visit the Maryland Department of Education website for a listing of specific tests that are accepted. And lastly, an interview. Applicants who meet admissions requirements will be asked to interview to ensure that your goals align with the program's goals before an offer of admission. And if your degree was completed outside of the US, please keep in mind you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. And you will also need to submit a passing IELTS score, TOEFL score, or a TOEFL waiver request form. Additional information can be found on the school's website. So the tuition for the School of Education, so this one actually says 2022-2023, but the 2023-2024 academic school year is actually $1,025 per credit for face-to-face and online courses. And for online courses, there is a $20 per credit technology fee for online courses. In addition, the registration fee is $175 per semester, and there's an application fee of $80 when you submit your application. And for additional information on tuition and fees, please visit the SOE's website. And if you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. We do offer a limited number of partial need-based institutional scholarships each year. And these awards range on average from $800 to $3,000 per semester, and it's applied to tuition expenses beginning in the fall semester. So please keep in mind, if you want to apply for the SOE endowed scholarships, that students must complete the FAFSA form. To learn if you qualify for the endowed scholarship or you have any questions regarding financial aid, please visit the school's website. So I will hand the floor back to Dr. Shelton, and she'll cover the Montgomery County Public School tuition reimbursement slides.
So, as I shared earlier, MCPS tuition reimbursement is available to all eligible MCPS employees. And to be eligible, you must be in a permanent position and work 20 hours or more each week. Also, as an eligible employee within the SET-IT program in particular, you have built-in approval to be reimbursed for more than 9 credits in a single year. This means that your credits will be covered for each semester in the program. However, you may not be able to start another program immediately after finishing SET-IT. So that just means in the event that you want to pursue another degree or more coursework after our program, you might have to take about a year off between programs or between our coursework and the coursework for something else. And so here are some more details about MCPS tuition reimbursement. So reimbursement is not automated. It requires eligible employees to apply once they've successfully completed their coursework each semester. And to apply, you should review the information and submission process on the MCPS tuition reimbursement website. Additionally, the dollar amount reimbursed for each credit equals 1/2 of the per credit tuition rate at the University of Maryland College Park, which is $414. So this means that the maximum eligible employees can be reimbursed is $212 per credit wherever they are. And for more information, you can email the email address that you see on this slide, tuitionreimbursement@mcpsmd.org. You can also visit, again, the MCPS tuition reimbursement website or call the number on this slide. And then the other thing that I want to share is that Miss Brittany Mackle is our MCPS representative for SET-IT. So she's also a great resource for folks who are interested in the program, and I can include her name and email address in the chat.
Thank you, Dr. Shelton. So now we're going to move on to questions. So please type your questions in the Q&A box. While we're waiting for questions, I know some of the students joined us a little bit later. Is this program a completely online program or is it hybrid? If you share that information again, that would be great.
So we are a hybrid program. We have 13 courses total, and I think 6 are in person and 7 are virtual, or vice versa. 6 are virtual and 7 are in person. So it's a pretty even split between in-person and virtual courses.
Thank you, Dr. Shelton. The first question we have is there a link to start the application process? So if you go on the school's website, you should see a call out button that says apply now. If you click on that, it should lead straight to the application. And if you have any issues finding, locating the apply button, feel free to email the Office of Admissions and we can definitely help you out with that. Next question is, I am an international student and would like to know, is PTE academic can be used instead of TOEFL or IELTS for the language proficiency? So we only accept the TOEFL or IELTS, test scores for the language proficiency requirement. So PTE academic cannot be used.
I just wanted to share that because we're in the webinar format for Zoom, I'm unable to share Brittany Mackle's email address, but if anyone wants me to share that with you or connect you with her, I'm happy to do that. You can send me an email, and my email address is a little shorter. It's ashelt18@jhu.edu.
And I also have this slide in case this, with the phone number and the email address for those who have questions about tuition reimbursement. Another question we have is, what's the specialty of this campus offer compared to others?
I'm gonna try to answer the question, but if I'm not answering the question for you, please just let me know. So our program offers certification in special education. One of the most important benefits for MCPS employees, I think, is that they are able to complete their internships in their schools, and there's a lot of alignment between our program and MCPS. And then there's just a wide range of courses. So, and that's whether you are focusing on elementary, middle, or secondary adult. So there are multiple like classroom management courses. There's instructional planning where you learn about a wide variety of instructional approaches. And I just think that all of it is really important when we're thinking about teaching students with disabilities in a way that is supportive and helps them achieve their goals and provides them with the services that they need, but also in a way that is intellectually challenging and engaging. And so we prepare students to deliver effective instruction and also to have a really organized, respectful, and positive classroom environment. And the benefit, again, of doing this with us and in MCPS at the same time is that you're able to immediately apply what you're learning in coursework to your classroom and vice versa, being able to bring knowledge and experiences from the classroom into the coursework and having these discussions, because there's a lot of alignment between the focus of our program and MCPS's focus for special education.
Thank you, Dr. Shelton. Another good question we have is, for staff members who don't have a 3.0 GPA, which tests must we take and where can we find the test? So for those who don't have a 3.0 undergraduate GPA, we'll accept SAT scores, ACT scores, the Praxis 1 or GRE scores. And where you can find information on additional information on that is the Maryland Department of Education website. Also, feel free to reach out to the Office of Admissions and I'll share my contact information, and I could share with you the minimum scores for each test. For example, the SAT, ACT, GRE, and Praxis 1. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. Here on the slide, we have some important contact information. Any questions about your application, feel free to reach out to the Office of Admissions. My email address is on the slide and phone number. Also, another great point of contact is our program coordinator, Miss Julianne Taylor, and her email address is also on this slide as well too. Well, it looks like we have a question. Will we get a copy of the slides? Yes. So this webinar is being recorded, so we'll be able to share a link to the recorded video within 10 business days, and you'll have a copy of these slides. Okay, so thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Thank you, Dr. Shelton, for a great presentation. We look forward to hearing from you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today.